Modern conflicts don't stay on the battlefield. Within hours, they spread into our feeds and try to shape perception before the facts are clear. Good evening, my name is Maia Mazurkiewicz, and welcome to the Anatomy of Disinformation. Words now travel faster than missiles. Even when a conflict takes place far away, the constant flow of information can impact us too. And most of the time, that information is fake. The consequences of the conflict are no longer limited to the Middle East. Cyprus, a European country, found itself directly targeted when Iran hit the British military base on the island. And alongside security concerns came a wave of disinformation, fear, and competing narratives. Our guest joins us to talk about that and more.
Andrea Solomonidou, Chaos Coordinator, Executive Partner, THAT. She's an entrepreneur and strategist with over 10 years of experience in media, communications, and political campaigns. An advisor and strategist for major brands and political campaigns, she's consulted for such clients as the President of Cyprus, Nikos Christodoulidis. Andrea Solomonidou is a founding member of Cypriot Enterprise Link, which supports the development of Cyprus's startup ecosystem.
Andrea, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You are Cypriot, but also very often in Greece, and we are talking today about conflict in Iran and in the Middle East. We think that it's far away, but coming from Cyprus, it's very close by.
It's so close that you can actually hear the conflict sometimes, or see it, depending on where you live.
And how people react to this?
I think it's been a while since we got accustomed to a lot of conflict the past 15 years. Syria, most recently Israel and Gaza, now with this, earlier on last summer the same. So I would say that people are really concerned, but it's the first time that they feel that they're kind of a part of it. So this is more concerning, maybe.
Exactly, you're saying the part of it because Cyprus was hit, right? The military base in UK.
Well, hit is a very, very strong word. But it is perceived right now that it was hit, that we are a target. And when I say we, I say the whole territory, regardless of the fact that the British bases are, were actually maybe a target. So what happened with the media and influence operations? Have you seen that there was something happening on this side as well? Yes, so we have, and this is the most concerning part, I believe, and you will allow me to kind of kick it off with our disinformation discussion. Yeah. In under 1 minute, I can say that the words of the Defense Minister, the UK Defense Minister on Sky News on Sunday morning, that, missiles were fired towards Cyprus, ended up being right now like a full-blown escalated situation where President Macron and Prime Minister Mitsotakis are actually having, to visit Cyprus. Charles de Gaulle, the aircraft carrier was deployed in the Mediterranean, the 2 frigates from Greece as well, fighter jets, and everybody's like kind of saving Cyprus from whatever it is. But it started by the defense minister of UK just saying 2 missiles were fired towards the island.
But there's also showing the solidarity, right? Like Greece and France is
Don't get me wrong. Like we do appreciate the solidarity, but it makes people more afraid right now rather than them understanding that this whole conversation started because of media disinformation.
So do people feel that Cyprus is part of the conflict?
They believe that their government, when it's saying that they're not part of the conflict, they're lying, and probably 1 minute after one other minute, probably will end up being part of the conflict, and we won't be prepared for it.
So there's lack of trust in the government?
There is lack of trust in communication from formal channels, yes.
And how about media?
The media is the source of this disinformation. It's the reason, actually, we're in this, because they started reporting whatever the UK, let's say, defense minister said, forcing the president to put a stand and like a statement out of on X, followed by the government spokesperson and the defense minister of Cyprus, denying that there was any attack
on Cyprus. And by the evening, Prime Minister Starmer was saying that he was granting access to the British base in Cyprus for the safety of the British civilians, which meant that you are allowing this to escalate, and then you're allowing people to think that the Americans and the British are safeguarding the British lives on the island, and we don't care about the Cypriots.
What has changed? The Greeks believe that Cyprus is
85% as of yesterday, when the first poll was actually published, believe that they have this worry that we will be dragged in a war and that Cyprus would be the source of it. The numbers are very concerning in every aspect, to be honest.
Is there any strategic communication happening right now?
To be honest, we tried to ourselves, and I'm not talking, I'm obviously, you read my background, you know my background. I'm not a geopolitics expert or anything like that. I'm a comms expert, and I'm a strategy advisor. And one of the most strategic things that should have happened from the get-go was for everybody involved, and especially the media, to have channels that the government was deploying, and not just the announcements of the spokesperson, but also other source and mediums, like all the social media platforms and every running medium that could actually give information to the people directly if they wished that they needed to surpass the media. So right now, because the government in Cyprus did not have that, they have been kind of put in a corner in terms of communication, meaning that the people really don't feel that they trust whatever they are announcing right now.
And they don't feel secure as well?
They don't feel at all secure.
And do you see as well disinformation flowing from outside?
There's always a number of foreign factors that they're actually kind of overflowing the media in regards to everything around every conflict, and especially in Cyprus, that we're such a close proximity to the Middle East, but also we have, the invasion and incubation problem that we have with Turkey. So I would say that even the announcement by the media that Turkey was deploying fighter jets to the occupied Cyprus area for safety reasons of the occupied area was already frightening enough. Just the idea of deploying jets over there with a hint of war.
And there was no communication around this as well?
No. You could see it in the media, but there was not like an official communication about it.
So the strategic communication is a key in the conflict, right?
Of course.
And that's something that have not been prepared. Yet in the summer you had similar situation, not as
in the summer. In the summer, first of all, the attack, Israel and Iran conflict was already happening in the summer, in June, if I'm not mistaken. So like mid-June of 2025 was the first time that, in the middle of the night, we had the strikes. Everybody wakes up with all the announcements from US and overflowing the media, and everybody's reporting what the international media is reporting. But at the same time in Cyprus, we had an issue with the government pushing through with all the regular system that you need to alert your citizens about anything. And because we had a wildfire issue also in the summer, there was a big discussion in media that the government was unprepared to inform the citizens with the alert system that pretty much every European country has, and every major country has, to be honest, at least Western countries. And it's been a discussion that part of them feeling unsafe and that their government is not doing enough. It's also the fact that it's not pushing through the alerts for their preparedness for any type of need, like whether they need to flee, whether they need to prepare, whether they need to have their passports. It's the small stuff that create this fear-mongering and this anxiety to the citizens. So if you're not prepared for this, your citizens will remember.
And Andrea, I think that you're pointing out that in scare of any conflict, the communication is the key, right? You said that there should be a clear communication coming from the government that should be prepared. And as well, you said about the alert system, right? Anything else that you would say that need to happen in any country that may face a conflict like this?
Right now it's becoming a European problem, let's say. And, every region in the world has conflicts and every region has bullies around, but I'm gonna scale it down to our territory, right? And Cyprus is like the southeastern part of Europe. We are in a very close proximity with countries that we do not understand and we do not actually always play nice with, or at least to a certain extent. Right now, the world is a bit on fire. So wanting, and our governments, as citizens, we want our governments to be able to display power and project power, also project solidarity, but also remind us, like keep us on our toes, but at the same time keep us safe. I do believe that drills are now need to be mandatory, and like constant information flows to the citizens. You cannot make them now trust either you as a government, you as a media outlet instantly. It's a very, very big game right now. But every government needs to win this, not because they need to shut down the media, on the contrary, but the media need to be not the source of disinformation. It needs to be the source of a check and a balance, but you cannot be the one that is fear-mongering the people, not allowing the government to project their power and their preparedness for any conflict.
And spreading the reliable information and fact-checking is the key.
Yeah.
Andrea, thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Fact-checkers report that social media platforms are flooded with fabricated footage, including AI-generated videos, manipulated satellite images, and clips taken from video games. The scale of fake videos since the start of the US and Israeli attack on Iran has been unprecedented. Let's take a look at some of the disinformation connected to the war in tonight's report.
The first conflicting reports concerned Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
Just now, it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead.
But Iranian authorities and media claimed something completely different. Eventually, a fake image of Khamenei buried under rubble quickly spread online. It was later labeled as having been AI-generated. This viral clip claimed to show the aftermath of a drone strike on the US embassy in Riyadh. In fact, it was footage of a car accident that had happened in the same city earlier. Another widely shared video appeared to show a US warship shooting down an Iranian aircraft. It was viewed millions of times before fact-checkers confirmed it came from the military simulation game War Thunder. One Iranian media outlet posted what appeared to be a satellite image showing a destroyed US base in Qatar, but it was quickly debunked as AI-generated.
Iran is an exporter of war, and really right now the regime tries to seek and drag as many countries into this war.
The disinformation campaign is not limited to the Middle East. In several Polish towns and cities, local social media groups circulated messages urging residents to evacuate immediately, despite there being no official threat. Experts say artificial intelligence is making the situation worse.
With the advancement of artificial intelligence technology, even individuals can now create synthetic images and videos very easily, even with their smartphones.
Even official accounts now require scrutiny. An account belonging to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu shared a video of him seemingly speaking Persian, urging Iranians to rise up against the regime. The video was real, but the Persian speech was AI-generated. One account on X posted a video claiming Iran had fired 1,800 missiles at Dubai's Burj Khalifa. The clip showed the tower on fire and crowds fleeing in panic. The video was fake, but it still gathered tens of thousands of views. Some social media platforms reward posts that attract large numbers of views and shares. Dramatic and often misleading war footage can generate advertising revenue.
Fake videos, exaggerated military victories, and manipulated images of the war in Iran are spreading rapidly. How do influence operations shape what the world believes about this conflict? And what else, apart from missiles and drones, is Iran launching across its borders? We'll talk about that and more with our guest.
Max Lesser, Senior Emerging Threats Analyst, Foundation for Defense of Democracies. He served as head of US policy analysis and engagement at Darktrace Federal, a cybersecurity company that specializes in AI. His research and insights on foreign malign influence have been featured in the New York Times, The Wall Street Journal, and NBC News.
Max, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, today we have a special episode on the conflict around Middle East and Iran. And obviously we see what is happening on the ground, but there's a lot of disinformation and influence operations going on as well.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. And we've seen everything from AI-generated deepfakes of strikes on Israel or U.S. military facilities. We've also seen a lot of cheap fakes, which do not involve AI, but are just photos or videos that are taken out of context. Maybe it's a 2-year-old or 3-year-old image or video of a strike that is being presented as if it's representing the current war. And we're not just seeing Iran in official and semi-official Iranian social media accounts and TV news channels push out these narratives, but we're seeing a lot of other actors participate, especially commercial actors. These are accounts that might be spun up in Southeast Asia or Africa that are not looking necessarily to shape the narrative for political reasons, but simply to try and make money. So there's a lot of different activity going on right now, and I'm looking forward to discussing it with you to dissect what exactly is going on.
What they're making money on?
On different social media platforms, be it YouTube or X, accounts can become monetized if they gain a significant following. Obviously sharing material about the conflict in Iran that, let's say it's showing a strike on a facility or something like that, it can get a lot of clicks, right? It can get a lot of engagement. So you have accounts that are essentially grifter accounts that are just spreading false information simply to get engagement with their content. This is something we've seen in a lot of different wars in the past. We saw this a lot in the war in Gaza. The Israel-Hamas war, we saw a lot of fake accounts spun up in Africa and other places that were just trying to make money off of the conflict. They don't just try and make money, but they're also spreading false claims. I would say one thing that X has done recently is create a policy where any account that is monetized, if it spreads AI-generated content about the war, it will become demonetized. That's a good step in the right direction, but it doesn't go quite far enough when it comes to combating AI-generated content.
And those networks been operated before? Are they still operating around the conflict?
Yeah, that's a really great question, because you would think that there have been a lot of internet disruptions in Iran. Oftentimes, this is actually a great point to bring up. Iran will try to control its own domestic information environment. And part of the way they do that is through internet blackouts, right? And we saw that a lot during the protests that happened earlier this year. And we're seeing a lot of that happen during the more recent conflict. But what I would say is that even there are also allegations of cyber attacks, claims that cyber attacks have been conducted to disrupt Iranian internet access. So it's unclear exactly why, but internet service is being disrupted in Iran, and you would expect that would potentially keep the regime in Iran from launching influence operations against their own people or foreign-facing external influence operations. But what we've observed at FDD is that's not the case. Their information warfare apparatus is still up and running, and no internet disruption is keeping them from operating these official and semi-official accounts, and also the civilian-led influence operations that we have linked to the besieged paramilitary force associated with the IRGC. A lot of those accounts are up and running as well. So it just goes to show the regime appears to really believe that information warfare is a critical mechanism for its own survival.
So those are things happening on the ground or in the information space of Iran. How about West? Like, what is happening in the West? Because a big thing is what the public opinion in the West is thinking about the conflict as well.
So I don't mean to get too political, but public opinion is very divided. And it doesn't even honestly fall alongside partisan lines. You have people on the left who are anti-war or anti-Trump and sort of are almost having a knee-jerk reaction to the crisis because of that. And then you also have people on the right who are anti-war, who are also against the war for that reason. There's a narrative that's spreading a lot right now that Israel dragged the United States into this war. And this is actually a narrative that is not just circulating in the US domestic information environment, but it's something that we see actively being pushed by some of these Iranian accounts that we were discussing earlier. And also, by the way, by Russian and Chinese or pro-Russian and pro-Chinese accounts and influencers are all amplifying each other's narratives, one of which being that, this is Israel somehow dragged the United States into this war, which is obviously ridiculous. This was a decision that was made by the United States itself.
And as well, there's a lot of deep fakes involved that can be seen, right, in the West, because you've been saying about that at the beginning.
Oh, totally. One of my favorites that I saw this morning was there was an AI-generated image. There, the Iranian military has these semi-official accounts that they use to spread propaganda, like just the thinnest layer of plausible deniability. And one of them was spreading a video of clearly AI-generated video of soldiers in a cave building missiles, saying like, "Hey, we're building more missiles. Be afraid of us." And it's just so obviously AI-generated. It's honestly a bit laughable.
So obvious for you. The question is it obvious for everyone?
As you know well, and all of your viewers know well, there's varying levels of digital literacy across different populations or different demographics, right? To sort of get a sense of this, look at scam and fraud activity. And a lot of the victims of scam and fraud activity tend to be older people, more elderly people, right? So people who have varying levels, less digital literacy, might not realize that these are AI-generated images for sure. But what I would say is that I do actually think that that there are a lot of savvy internet users who do immediately spot the BS and see these as AI-generated videos. And oftentimes when I see these AI-generated videos, I will see people in the comments saying, "Hey, this is fake, this is AI-generated." And then eventually there's some, and sometimes quite rapidly, there will be fact checkers or there'll be community notes added so that, the correction does typically happen, especially if an AI-generated image passes a certain threshold of virality. There will usually be a response from fact checkers or community notes or things like that.
So that's great to hear that the community is looking at what is happening in the internet, but at the same time, hearing what you're saying, I think that we need to be more aware than ever when we are digesting the news coming from conflict in Iran. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Totally. Thank you.
When crisis hits, fear spreads fast, but so can solidarity. And it's up to us to choose what we believe in. The challenge is not to let the manipulators decide for us. So remember to keep calm and think deeply.